Hey guys, what's happening? Stephen Howe here, and I just want to hop on camera. I'm here in my home office. I recently got a question in one of the comments about age. So if you're wondering for your real estate investing and wholesaling business, Stephen, maybe I'm just a little bit too young. Or maybe on the opposite end of the spectrum, maybe I am too old to really make this a reality, right? I just want to address that. Stephen, is there a certain age limit? So if you are above 18 years old, okay, in the U.S. here, I believe you are not too young. And in fact, I've worked with many individuals that are 18, 19, early 20s that have seen results. In fact, I'll go ahead and include an interview I did with one of my students who got started with me when he was about 19. He just graduated high school, had no previous real estate experience. He moved from Pennsylvania to North Carolina, and we started working together, and within a few months, I believe he had like a $40,000 a month, and he's been off to the races ever since. And so I'll link a webinar that we did, kind of a case study. And I've had a handful of others that have, gotten started at a young age. So one of the biggest things, and I'll talk about, being too old as well, if that's a concern for you. And something very closely related might be accent or where you're from or just kind of how you're feeling about yourself. Being confident, having that self-confidence. A lot of times when we start, I've worked with so many people who, like myself, were an introvert, were maybe, kind of scared to talk with people. When I started, I was fairly young. I was in my 20s. And so there's all sorts of little things that creep up when it comes, when we transition from the preparation phase and the study phase into taking action, which, let's be honest, sometimes is very uncomfortable when we first get started. And there's these different thoughts, or maybe we talk to like a family member or friend or other people that aren't in real estate or that have, maybe dabbled and it didn't work out for them or they didn't follow through, and they tell you what you can't do because of certain reasons, or it's our own insecurities, right? So one of the things is, especially when it comes to being too young, and I have another student out in Sacramento, California, who's young as well, who just turned 21, who started with me, I think when he was 19 or 20, something like that. And I've had a ton of other examples as well, but here's what it kind of boils down to, and I don't want to oversimplify this, but this is really powerful. If you, in your mind, think that it's going to be an issue, if maybe people aren't going to take you seriously or think that you don't have enough experience or value or whatever the case is, then maybe it'll be an issue for you. But so it really boils down to the belief, that you have. And a way to get around this, maybe if you're like, well, Stephen, that sounds good, but I just don't really believe in myself. Well, one thing I encourage you to really go to work on that, okay? Because not believing in yourself and what you're doing can just be one of the root causes of many other issues of life, even outside of real estate and outside of business. So it's imperative that you go to work on yourself, not in a woo-woo self-esteem way, but just be a seeker of truth. And I used to get all, jazzed up about, different self-help books and stuff like that in my 20s, and I don't really do that anymore. Big into personal growth, spiritual growth. I don't go to personal, self-help type stuff to get self-esteem personally. And this is not like a video on this, but I go to the Bible. I go to the Word of God to hear about, who I am and what my worth is and those things. But aside from that, know that if you in your mind think it's going to be an issue, so you take these students, and there's 3 specifically that I have in mind, and there's many others that were 18, 19, and 20 when they got massive results. One did multiple $20,000 deals. One did a $17,000 deal. Another did a $25,000 deal. They could have said, well, I'm new to my area. Well, I'm just out of high school. I'm just out of college. I'm broke. I don't have a real estate license. I don't have a real estate background. I don't have a sales background. They could have said some of those things and made those excuses. but they really kind of adopted a huge thing that I believe in, and that is being a service provider, being someone of service and someone of value. So understand that when you get good at this real estate, investing and wholesaling business, it's not about pulling a fast one over the seller. It's not about being super salesy or super aggressive. It's about a lot of times listening and being empathetic and, knowing just a couple of things to say. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to, know all these different things. I mean, when I started first going into houses, I didn't know how much things cost for renovations or any of that stuff. But it's being able to provide a solution. It's being able to, talk with people and empathize and, understanding, the conversation goes in these couple of directions, and here's kind of how I navigate those waters. So no, age is not an issue. If you are 18 here in the US, you absolutely are old enough. And, when you lead with a ton of value and you're giving people education, you're giving them a little bit of education of their options, and you're presenting solutions and doing it in a cool way that's helpful, and you're not coming from this complete desperate zone that they can feel. And that's a big thing. And it does take a little bit of that leap of faith, and you just kind of have to believe. And a lot of it starts by just being sick and tired of being where you're at and saying, you know what, it's more painful for me to stay where I'm at than to kind of put myself out there. And it boils down to, we don't want to look silly. We don't want to look foolish, right? It's not necessarily about the age. It's just we don't want to be laughed at. We don't want to fail. And so I just want to encourage you to kind of get through that. And it's really the same answer, if you're thinking, well, maybe I'm in my late 50s, early 60s, late 60s. I've worked personally with quite a few individuals that were, at the latter part of their, career, but, people are living longer, people are working longer. And they've had a great measure of success because they've believed in their heart, and they've really kind of latched onto that value model. So guys, I just wanted to hop on this video. And I've worked with, I remember there's a lady in Texas, and she was really concerned about kind of her English, her language. I've worked with more than a handful of people that have succeeded, that have not really been able to speak very clearly. I've worked with a few people who have had stuttering issues, all of that type of stuff, and they've been very successful. So, I would just encourage you to not create these extra excuses that really are just excuses, and they're covering you from being hurt. But what's more painful, probably, is you not getting results for yourself, for your family, and wasting more time and more money. So, really just work on yourself every day. Put yourself out there. Do the hard thing. Do the hard work. And you will get through it. So anyways, guys, that's kind of my answer. All right, guys, and so with that, I'm going to go ahead and keep this video a little short, but that was just an issue that over the years, even working with students, customers, that's kind of been, a question, just that self-doubt and confidence. So if you're feeling that, my friend, I simply want to let you know that you're not alone. I can't tell you, it's such a common thread with almost everybody that I've ever talked to, including myself, okay? So I want you to know that you're not alone and that you can do it anyways, okay? So I just want to encourage you with that. The other part that I said in this video, sometimes we do the lesser of two pains, and sometimes it takes getting to that point where it's more painful staying where you're at than not progressing. And you say, you know what? I don't care if I look silly. I don't care if I look foolish. So I would encourage you to kind of think through that a little bit. But if you guys like this video, definitely hit the like button. I would love for you guys to tap that like button or dislike if you didn't like the video. Leave me a comment below. I actually take time to read through the comments and personally reply. And then also consider subscribing here to the YouTube channel. Feel free to browse some of my playlist and some of the other videos. And then I'm always open for suggestions because I want to hear from you guys. what topics and content you want to hear in the future. And then, as always, in the description, I've put together some great free resources for you to check out and some different things that I use in my business and things like that. So make sure to check out the description area as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much.